Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
That line was said on live television, in a room full of the most powerful people in Hollywood, and not a single person laughed.
Shining a light on something they don't want shined on.
He had been saying it for years. Hollywood called him crazy. They blacklisted him twice. Studios were warned, if you touch this, you're finished.
Hollywood handing that person, here you go, you can do whatever you want. No, it doesn't work that. In the industry, we've come to a very, very dark place.
A very, very dark place. That's what he called it. This wasn't just anyone talking. This was the man who once played Jesus on screen, now claiming something much darker was happening behind the curtain. While he was being mocked, and while a certain comedian stood on the Golden Globes stage dropping uncomfortable truths disguised as jokes, another powerful figure was quietly building an empire around one simple phrase, be kind. Then, everything shifted. Millions of pages of documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein were unsealed. Names started surfacing, and suddenly those earlier warnings didn't sound so crazy anymore. But before we get to all of that, you need to understand the room.
Do you want to host the Golden Globes? All that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room or the 200 million people watching at home?
Every January, Hollywood gathers for the Golden Globes. The biggest stars, the richest producers, the people who decide whose career rises and whose disappears. They sit at round tables, sipping champagne, laughing just enough to look relatable on camera. That's the show. But year after year, one host stood on that stage who didn't care about fitting in. He wasn't there to play along. His audience wasn't the celebrities in the room, it was the millions watching at home. And every time he spoke, he gave those viewers a small crack in the wall, a glimpse into what that room really was.
You make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you?
Go back and watch those moments carefully. Watch the reactions, the forced smiles, the silence. Because sometimes it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like a reference, something everyone in that room understood, but no one wanted to acknowledge.
Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Then there was another voice, someone from a completely different corner of Hollywood. Not a comedian, not a podcaster, an actor who had once reached the peak of fame. He spoke about darkness in the industry, about things he claimed to have witnessed. His career changed almost overnight. Opportunities disappeared, projects stalled, and yet he kept talking.
Shining a light on something they don't want shined on.
He became involved in a film centered on rescuing vulnerable children. You'd think that would be an easy story to support, something every major studio would rally behind. But that's not what happened. Instead, the project struggled to find backing. It moved forward independently, and against expectations, it succeeded.
Everyone was told, from Rupert Murdoch, from Fox, to every studio, look, if you touch this thing, you will be out, you will be done. You'll be finished in 3 years.
While all of this was happening, another figure in Hollywood stood at the very top. A daytime icon, a household name. Her message was simple, be kind. But in 2020, that image started to crack. Former employees came forward, describing a workplace that didn't match the public persona.
Hollywood handing that person, here you go, you can do whatever you want. No, it doesn't work that. In the industry, we've come to a very, very dark place.
They used words like toxic, fake, and fearful. Not one voice, but many. A pattern that painted a very different picture behind the scenes.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she...
An internal investigation followed. Executives were removed. Allegations surfaced, serious ones. And when the host finally addressed it publicly, the response didn't convince everyone.
Told from the very beginning, don't talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't, go into her office. It was very nerve-wracking, very stressful. We all walked on eggshells all the time.
The show eventually came to an end after nearly 2 decades. To some, it felt sudden and unexpected, as if something bigger had happened behind the scenes.
Truth is, I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of them.
Then, within months, tragedy struck. 2 individuals connected to that world passed away under very different but equally shocking circumstances. Both cases left lingering questions that for many were never fully answered.
anxious or that quick moving that was going on the other side of the vehicle. Oh my gosh, he's completely alive. He was trying to get away.
Does anybody else remember that clip? It was harrowing. How can you forget it? It was Anne Hesh after her crash, which ultimately took her life. Suddenly sitting bolt upright, unzipping herself from a body bag, and looking very much alive. Then we were told a few minutes later.
Later, new claims and details emerged from those closest to the situation, adding even more complexity to an already confusing timeline. And just as public attention began to fade, another wave of revelations brought everything back into focus.
God doesn't give you things you cannot handle. I'm a firm believer in that. There was a moment I was with one of my really dear friends, and we were cleaning out the closet, and picking out an outfit for him for the funeral. And it was a really triggering moment for me because there was a lot of things I discovered in our closet that I did not know existed.
Documents tied to major investigations began surfacing. Names, connections, timelines, sparking discussions across the internet. Some were proven, others remained speculation, but one thing became clear. People were starting to connect dots.
Everyone was told, from Rupert Murdoch at Fox to every major studio, if you touch this thing, you will be out. You will be done. You'll be finished in 3 years.
The idea that kept coming up wasn't about one person, it was about a system. A system that protects itself, that stays silent when needed, that controls which stories are told and which disappear.
Handing that person, here you go, you can do whatever you want. No, it doesn't work that. In the industry, we've come to a very, very dark place.
A very dark place. He said it years ago. People laughed. Now, not so much.
Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
So what happens next? Only a fraction of the full story is public. The rest is still sealed. And the people connected to those unseen pages, they know what's coming. Some are staying quiet, some are stepping away, some are preparing. Because when the next chapter unfolds, it won't just be another headline. It will be names. And the question is, who's next?